everybody, welcome to another video. My name is Infiniti, and if you don't know, I'm the face, the voice, and the hands behind all the content here under Infiniti Crafting Co. This is channel chat 120, aka day 3 of Vlogust. I'm surviving. Today I wanted to actually feed off of yesterday and just dive into more as to why I got into crochet in the first place. And I don't know how long I'm going to blab about that, so this may or may not be cut into 2 segments. The second one would be posted tomorrow, so I don't wear your ears out. I'm also going to be knitting while I'm chatting, so you get a treat today. I am working on my sweater vest finally, and I know I was talking about it yesterday and probably a few days ago too, but let me grab this thing. For what? But this is it. So I finished this off back in what? I want to say January-ish, and I got to wear it by either early or late February. I don't remember. The only thing about it I do remember is that it was like 70 degrees the very next week, and I was so glad I got to wear this before that weather started kicking in. But anywho, today I get to, well, I've actually already gotten into the recording process for the tutorial for this. I'm gonna go put this thing down. Funny enough, I actually didn't take any good progress pictures when I first knit that sweater. A lot of times when I either write my crochet or knitting patterns, I will take a lot of progress pictures along the way, but I think with that one, because the project was so experimental, I didn't really bother with it, and I figured I would just come back and make another one later. So all that needs to happen now is that I need to insert the photos for the PDF pattern, and then eventually I will get into figuring out when I want to post the video and the written pattern for the members program. So you guys have to let me know if you want it for December or January. I don't know, you might actually get to make some fun holiday sweaters if you do it if I do it in December. So we'll see about that. So like I said, I'm going to be kind of working on this while I'm chatting here. I did make myself an iced coffee, so I know it's a big iced coffee, don't judge me. It's always a long day, so you know, kind of need that pick-me-up. I just realized I don't have my glasses on my face, but you know what? You only live once. So, anywho, I know I touched on it yesterday. So I first got into crochet back when I was 15. So it's been 10 years ago now. And when I picked it up, I could not really make much of anything. I showed off that really crappy sweater that I made for my teddy bear yesterday. I'm not going to bring myself through that again. But I found that as I practiced with it, I really started to enjoy the work of my hands. And it was something else that was, I suppose now I can put it into words, it was just more tangible to me than my paintings or my digital artwork. At the time, I'd kind of switched out of traditional art and started doing digital art and a little bit of graphic design for a while, and that was cool and all. It was fun, but it wasn't something that I could be like, hey, I can touch it and be like, hey, I made this. And so when I got a hold of crochet, that was just it for me, and it was a stress reliever, so to speak, because at the time I was let me see, 15. I wasn't in high school, so at the time, no, I was just working on my art and trying to get through like correspondence school or whatever, but I ended up not doing that, and I ended up testing out, so that was fun. But throughout that, what was I saying? Throughout that whole time span of me just being at home and whatnot, I had time to kind of master, I want to say, quote unquote, the basic stuff, and then I got into making hats for the most part. I was so glad when my hats finally started turning out right. It was a miracle at the time to me, because the only thing that I could manage hat-wise at that point was what was it? Like the elf hats, but it wasn't on purpose, so I wasn't very happy with that. Anyway, so I think one of my first successful hats that I made, and I still have it stowed away somewhere as sort of an artifact, was a mint green and black striped slouchy. I was really into wearing my hats back then, and you know, I don't know, maybe I was just living out my best emo phase dreams, because like I had a whole emo phase when I was younger, but I never really dressed like it, and I don't know, maybe I was just letting that part out at that point. I have no idea, but that was the first thing that first hat that I successfully made, and I just wore it to pieces basically. And so it sits retired, a relic of the past, much like the sweater on that bear. Yeah, no, it really became my R&R time. And then as I got older, a couple years went by, and I decided I was going to go ahead and just take the state exam and be done with the whole high school thing. So during that time, I was attending this education center. Yeah, I went to this education center for a couple of weeks, and I decided, like, after being there for a while, I just didn't want to be there for long. So I ended up going to test out and got my high school diploma. I scored really high on that test, and it was actually the highest in my region, and so I got a scholarship, and I ended up going to community college, and so on and so on. But also, the education center that I was attending at the time was also combined with like this community center thing. So they had a community closet type deal. So I got to donate to that with some of my handmade stuff. And I made that my thing for a few years. I think I volunteered there for 3 years. So like the whole 3 years I was there volunteering, I was making hats and scarves and stuff up there, and I even got some pictures back from some of the people that got things for their little kids, which was so cool, and it brought me so much joy just to know that other people were enjoying my work. And I think also in that time span, that is where I started picking up for like commissions and things like that, which was the best of times and the absolute worst of times. I every time I think about commissions now, I get war flashbacks to that time period where I was doing them consistently. It's like that was my main thing, because I didn't have a website and I wasn't really online with my presence. It was cool and it had its place. I had one really great client. She would commission me to do stuff like large custom blankets for her organization that was in town and stuff, and that was nice. But then I had also another swath of people that would just like commission me at random for hats and scarves and things like that. And then there was the almost equal third of people that would ask me to make stuff and then like bail on me. So that is what killed the spirit of commissions for me. That is the abridged version of that. But I never stopped making after that. And then in 2018 I got bored. It was my last year of community college. See, the thing is, right, it actually took me 3 years to get through my first degree, because for whatever reason, they decided to make the art education degree longer than all the other degrees there. There was like a handful of programs up there that were actually longer than the typical 64 hours that you needed to get an associate's degree. Mine was one of them, and I felt like it put me through the ringer there. But anyway, it was my second to last semester in community college when I was out at one of the sister campuses, and I decided to start my YouTube channel almost purely out of boredom. Like, it was a lot of stuff that factored into it. The whole commission thing in person was fueling a lot of that, where I felt like I needed to be online and like build a different audience and things like that to support my work, as opposed to people in person. Oh my gosh, it was infuriating. But anyway, so I started that, and I started out on my cell phone at my desk. On the other side, it's when I was just sequestered in like a quarter of down here. So I had a quarter of a basement. I don't know, some people think it's weird when I say basement, but you know, I don't. I'm a college kid, so I really don't know what people expect. But anyway, so, you know, we were like full house. I had my little corner over there, and I would sit at my desk and I would record things and do tutorials on that. And then about a month in, I decided that I liked doing videos, and that I wanted to branch out a little more, and I was starting to feel a little bit more self-confident in front of people and stuff, so I started putting my face on camera, and it was a thrill at first, not gonna lie, because it's not something that I regularly did. But at the time, also my second job, which was actually my first job, it was like an orientation leader. So every year I had hundreds of people that I would orient into the college and stuff like that. So I was kind of used to talking in front of people, but it's kind of a different game when talking to a camera. I don't know, I feel more compelled to look away from the camera, and my grandma gave me grief for many years about that. She still does. So whenever she does, I'm like, Grandma, you want to come on camera with me? And she's like, no. So that's our little running joke together. So, you know, she's camera shy, but she judges me heavily. So a lot of the improvements you see are because she bullies me, basically. And if she ever sees this video, she's going to talk about me and say, don't tell people I bully you. That's not nice. I'm like, Grandma, it's not nice. But, you know, so that was 2018, and then I remember I was like, okay, well, it was after the whole in-person rebrand, because at first I started calling my gig Infiniti Crochet, and that was because I could only crochet in the beginning. But as I started branching out and, of course, getting more confident with the knitting, I was like, okay. And at the time I also wanted to sew things, and even though I still will eventually conquer a sewing machine, I don't know so much that I'll focus on that. But in the beginning I was thinking that that would be incorporated in my whole business model. So I was like, okay, this needs to be something that is universal and can be used as an umbrella. So that's how I was like, oh, okay, crafting is a good word. So Infiniti Craft & Co. was born way back when, and then of course the YouTube channel was named after it and all that, and now we're here today. I feel like maybe that wasn't as long of a story as I was thinking it was gonna be, but ultimately I started, like I said, I started the online presence thing because I wanted to build an audience of people who would actually support what I do, which has been awesome because I have found quite a few people that do that. And then of course all of my subscribers today that follow my content and decide to make my patterns and all that. Hey, I found you guys. So thanks for sticking around and making this thing possible even to today. I think yesterday or earlier when I looked at my analytics, we're almost at 13K on YouTube, so that's a milestone. So I'm excited about that and the prospects of the future and all that. So I'm gonna go back around out of the rabbit hole, but I did want to say my thanks. It started out of boredom, but also like necessity, and then the more I decided that I liked it and other people liked it, then the more I started just sharing my love of the crafts and the fiber arts online. At first I was also incorporating my art stuff, but like, you know, it's an interesting crossover, right? Because you have some artsy people who are into the fiber arts, and then by majority, like, the fiber arts people aren't really into the fine arts, so it's like trying to find that balance. And then for a while there I did try to start a second channel, but even though that was getting momentum, I don't have the momentum for it, and so it's become a very sporadic thing. Mostly because I already have my community established on my main channel, and I want to keep you guys. So, you know, I'd much rather put my focus here, and then later on, if I ever retire from this channel or Infiniti Craft & Co. in general, then I'll have something else that I'll fall back to and maybe become consistent with later. I don't know, but at least my username is not taken by some weirdo. I think I was also getting into that whole bit about just sharing my love of the arts, fiber arts and such, and that is still true to this day. So I don't know if you guys can tell or not. You know, there might be some telltale signs. I don't know, but I'm very passionate about knit and crochet. Whenever I get to come over here and sit, despite the mountain of whatever projects I decide to put on my shoulders, whenever I get to come over here and either like come up with a light bulb idea or just sit back and listen to my podcasts and knit my projects or crochet my projects. This is not crochet, but crochet my projects. You know, it just brings me a certain amount of joy, and I really like to be able to share that with people. And I, for the longest time, have believed that I had a calling to teaching, which is also part of the reason why I went through the education program the first go round and did all that volunteer work the first go round, because I enjoy sharing what I know. And for the most part, people enjoy my teaching style, both when it comes to this kind of thing or when it comes to stuff like math and whatnots. So I was like, okay, you know, I really want to lean into that, and leaning into that hasn't really led me wrong per se yet, but I definitely want to continue to be able to cater to my community and further my passions with the creative arts, because I'm definitely a person that has to work with their hands. And the more I go on, the older I get, I realize that I don't know how I ever did 3 years of office work. I don't. The cubicle life was not for me, and maybe that's also why I was more drawn to teaching the lower grades, because it's more fun, it's more lively. Even when I was doing my observations, it was so much more to like teaching the kindergartners than it was, say, interacting with the high schoolers. Because like, even though I don't know how we're bleeding into the school life thing, but like, even though like the older kids are more developed and you can interact with them conversationally in other capacities, I think it's about the amount of wonder and curiosity that the younger kids have, and just being able to show them that, hey, you can mix these colors and make a whole new color, or hey, if you cut the paper this way, you can make these different shapes, or just showing them how to draw stuff. It's really, their reactions are really interesting and cute. So I don't know, and that just brought me a certain amount of joy also. But there's just, you know, every job has its pluses and minuses, and teaching, unfortunately, just started to, the further I went in the programs and stuff, I think it's more so the program that just started taking it out of me, more so than the observation stuff. Because it's like every year they wanted to add something. I don't know why I started holding this like this. Every year they wanted to add something new to the curriculum while we were in college, and it's like, okay, then you want me to go through a full semester of student teaching, and I can't work, and so, like, you know, it just wasn't fitting for me at the moment. And I decided that if I did want to pursue teaching in the future, I would definitely be going through an alternate licensure. I would still be an art teacher, I think, or at least a kindergarten teacher, somewhere in that range. And then there's all kind of stuff they don't tell you when you're going through the education program about alternative licensure, especially at the university level. Like at the community college, I had the professor who was also the chair of the department. He was like, you know, he touched on it as a topic one day in class, and it started coming back to mind about 2 years ago, and I'm like, you know, he might have had a point in mentioning that to us. So ultimately, if I do ever end up going back, it would be through that mode, more so than just going back to get a certificate, because good God, it is such a soul suck. That went off topic though, so you know, I meant to continue to talk about how I like to share what I know, but I think that's how I ended up down that rabbit hole anyway. I don't know. I had a lot more content planned out tutorial wise for this year, and Vlogust was definitely a last minute thing. The first time I did it, I more or less sat up and planned most of my topics, and so it was nothing to just hop up and record something every day. And two, I think my computer was a lot newer the first time I went through it, so it was a lot shorter of a render time than I have now. So I didn't really have to worry about planning so much ahead at the time, but I was glad I did when I did. This time I'm just kind of winging it and going day by day, because I have no idea what you guys want to know from me, so that's why I always stress the comment section. Even if you just leave me a little heart or say hi. Hi, I don't bite, I promise. Okay, the first part of this pattern is just stockinette stitch. So, you know, when I get a good color going, sometimes I just get into a rhythm. So this has like all of my focus. This is such a nice little light sage green. It's called eucalyptus, but you know me and colors, color name choices, we don't really get along. I have a long and storied history of going down rabbit holes as to why I think the yarn company was wrong for naming that color the way they did, but you know, can't really change that, can I? But I don't think I'd have a strong argument against eucalyptus either. It's probably a lot simpler than just saying light sage. I don't know. But if I were to make this sweater again, I thought about doing a black and red version of this sweater. So maybe. I also thought about doing an ugly Christmas version of this sweater vest. But I think after last year's ugly sweater, I don't know if I can really top that. So I'm just going to let that remain queen for now until someday in the future when I decide to splurge on nice fibers and get more of these balls of yarn. One fun thing was a few weeks ago, I keep saying a few weeks ago, but I feel like it was probably a couple of months ago. Now, I ran a poll on my YouTube community tab, and I asked basically what content people follow me for, and it was really surprising because after I upload videos and I see view results and things like that, and retention results and stuff, usually it's my Centro machine videos that get the most hype. So I thought that a huge influx of my community started following me for that, but I was actually quite wrong. It's about even, about throughout the 3 crafts that I do. So I know by and large most of my community in the beginning were crochet people, because I was crochet lady, and I almost did not do knitting, and I'm going to reserve that for a future episode because otherwise I would just go down a whole storyline. But eventually when I did start doing the knitting and whatnots, and after I got through the bombardment of special commentary on that, then about a third of my audience became that. And then after, let me see, I got my Centro machine back in 2019. So once I started posting those tutorials for the Centro in 2020, I got a huge spurt of growth on my channel, and so I assumed that after about a year's time, that most of my audience was there for that. And so after I got over my burnout with the machine, I started putting out new tutorials and things again, and still to this day those end up being my most quickly viewed videos, I think. But yeah, I was intrigued to find out that about my audience is like divided into thirds almost perfectly, so that's kind of cool to note on. So that just lets me know that I should keep doing the content that I'm doing, basically. So I am glad that I was able to start reincorporating the machine tutorials back in, and I think it's working out a lot better to be able to upload those different videos 3 days a week, because now I'm not depriving my knitting side of my community of tutorials in lieu of the other tutorials and stuff like that. Interestingly enough, I think my Tunisian crochet tutorials are kind of coming up here lately, because I've been getting comments on those videos, and I almost forgot that I touched on Tunisian crochet on this channel. So that's kind of fun. I think I might refresh that at some point when I don't know. I'm not planning anything out for my winter break because I don't want to overload myself, and I think I kind of want it to be an actual winter break for myself because I feel like I deserve it. Usually when I take breaks from the channel, it's not actually rest and relaxation, it's just that I'm not uploading, but it's definitely sitting back to content plan and pre-record my tutorials and things like that so my upload schedule can be smooth. And I say that, you know, and I feel bad sometimes because my upload schedule has not been smooth since 2020, but, you know, it's getting there. This year has been one of my more consistent years, so I'm very happy about that. And I'm just taking stuff a week, a month at a time at this point when it comes to uploading stuff. And now that I have started up my members program and I'm recording videos and fleshing out patterns for that, I'm just being patient and kind to myself for once. So, you know, I'm really excited to see where that goes by the time next summer rolls around. I think within that time frame I should have some an interesting variety of projects, should put it that way. Always planning stuff out. I feel like I'm gonna sit here and knit on this forever. It's only 52 stitches that I have cast on, but it's so chill to knit this. Plus it doesn't help that it's been raining all day. So, you know, I could just sit here and do this and kind of ramble all day, but I will not keep you guys forever. Oh, I should probably show you guys the pot of the day. That's what I should probably do. And one more tidbit on that before I move on. So I went through the rest of my stuff that I'd brought in back in May. Was it May? I think it was May. And for the most part, I got, you know, looked over everything and I'm like, okay, I can deal with this. I did end up putting 3 pieces to the side. One of them is a yarn bowl, but I think I just don't like it anymore. And also I would need to go over it again with, or not again, I would need to go over that one with a diamond bit. So for those of you guys who don't do pottery, sometimes when you put stuff in firings, period, but when you put them in very precarious firings like wood firings, the glazes will run aggressively. And so with the guides on some of those yarn bowls, the small and medium holes got glazed over. And so for the big chunk of my first summer update, I had to go through almost all of those yarn bowls with a diamond drill bit and get through those to refine them and get them in proper working order. And that took me days to do. And I think I put it on Twitter or something either yesterday or the other day, but either way, I don't know if I want to put myself through that again. I burned entirely through one of the drill bits, and then the rest of it is just, you know, oh my god. Like, I can see if I was doing stuff on another level, but like as it were right now, it's kind of not worth it. So that one's probably going to get frisbeed into the garbage, and I might use that as a reel or something. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, I think my main point of talking about the pottery thing though was that I don't actually have 31 pieces. I have something along the lines of 24 or 25 pieces. And about 5 of those I was going to reserve for a later shop update, but I think I'll take pictures of them and show them off and kind of tease them towards the end of the month. So some of these videos actually won't end with a pot of the day, so that's fine. Especially in my book, because I got to go back and update everything after the video. So I'm going to show you guys today's pot. Her name is Gretchen, that much I remember. And I have to say, I've been gleaning a lot of inspiration here lately for stuff that I want to do. And it was hilarious. The other day I went into, like I said, harvest my tomatoes and whatnots. And my advisor slash professor slash ceramics teacher was there. And I was telling him that I had stuff sketched out and I had a few ideas for the semester, and he was like, yeah, you know, you want to get stuff rolling. No, don't wait till the last minute kind of things, because it can get hectic and stressful. And this year I don't plan on spending all of my free time in the studio. So that being said, I have plans already. And he was like, yeah, you know, and branch out and make some other things apart from the yarn bowls. And it was so funny because he kind of roasted me last semester because I made something like 14 of these yarn bowls. But So this man has held a grudge basically since last year, saying that I need to make other things. I'm like, you're not gonna let that go, are you? And he said no. So while that I didn't even intend for that to be my main focus this go around, I will be making some yarn bowls, but definitely not as prolifically as I did the first go around, especially considering the amount of space that I have in studio. I don't have anywhere to store this stuff, so kind of keeping that in mind too. But anywho, pot of the day, her name is Gretchen, and I made a vase, right? It's a knitting needle vase, half exposed, raw clay body. It's stoneware. I only made, I want to say 2 or 3 pieces last semester with stoneware. Our stoneware is brown. Some of it's tan, some of it's white. It's not really a color specific clay body like porcelain is. But anyway, this is one of the few pieces that I used that clay with, and I wanted to see how the green glaze, this looks like my custom glaze. Huh. Okay, so I dipped it in my custom glaze, and then I dipped Jones Blue on top of it to see how it would work out. There's no burns on it, and there's no flashing on the clay body, so this one 9 times out of 10 went into the gas firing. But she holds knitting needles as well as crochet hooks. I can prove that, actually. So of course everything looks one way while I'm holding it on camera, but if you want to see this piece under cool, neutral lighting and at specific angles, then you have to head over to my website and check her out there. She will be in the shop once this video is over, so feel free to check her out, give her a share on social media, drop hints for gifts that you want, I don't know, but she will be available after this video is ended. I am going to have so much fun with these vase ideas that I do have sketched up. They're going to be really quirky and kind of artisan, so I'm looking forward to the different reactions I get to that as I post them and tease them on social media. Ideally, in an ideal world, I would have stuff fired off in September, but I doubt if we'll do a firing that soon. But I would definitely assume we'll do a couple of firings before the holidays roll around. So 9 times out of 10 I will be taking photographs throughout the semester so they don't pile up on me, and considering up there's actual photo studio that I could use if I wanted to, and I don't just have to like be limited to my home studio. If I make larger pieces, I'll definitely be up there taking pictures of it. But anyway, I'm going to keep rambling as long as I can think of stuff to mention. I hope you guys enjoyed chilling out with me today. I didn't drink any of my coffee while I was sitting here knitting. I think I was just enjoying chatting. So I'm gonna go finish my iced coffee, keep knitting, and probably edit more of my tutorials off. So I will see you guys tomorrow, and until then, happy making. Hey there, if you like the way I teach here on YouTube and you are looking for new and interesting crochet and or knit patterns, then you will love my new members club, where I am releasing all of my knit and crochet designs, the written instructions, as well as the premium video content directly into my blog space. Members have access to the ad-free patterns, as well as the premium written tutorials, as well as exclusive releases that are not yet available to the public, and early releases. So if that sounds like a great deal to you, then head over to my website, hit the Hey Craftapreneur tab to learn more and sign up today. Thanks for supporting my content, and until next time guys, happy making.